Europe is at a crossroads, and ironically, it's the Trump administration that's forcing Europeans to choose a side. The pressure from the powder keg of populism grows by the day, and now a brand new leaked document may have just lit the fuse that will send a political explosion throughout the continent. We're going to see exactly what that document says and why it represents nothing less than a tectonic shift that can change Europe's politics and its culture for generations to come. You know, a society is at the breaking point when you can't tell the difference between a comedy sketch and a political manifesto. Look at this video from the Stop the Boats media. It's supposed to be satire. It's supposed to be a joke. But here's the thing. Nobody's laughing.
We are the new construction industry movement. And once again, we have been let down by the UK government, and Rachel Reeves has made the British taxpayer a legitimate target. Welcome to Great Britain, where the working man lifts the country. He works, he pays, he sacrifices. Rachel Reeves promises growth, yet somehow the only thing growing is council tax and the price of cheese. Hotels filled with migrants, all bills covered, 3 meals, warm rooms, paid by the man eating cold beans after a night shift. Then we have Barry, who hasn't worked since twisting his ankle in 2015, but his benefits arrive like Christmas every month without fail. The working man carries a nation that forgets him. He funds a system that drains him, but they say it's fine, they need another hotel. And while we're holding out hotel rooms like 3 minutes at a dentist, there's another soldier forgotten in the fog. The British farmer, the man who feeds the country yet barely feeds himself after the supermarket price cuts and fuel hikes. He wakes up before dawn, works through storms that would evacuate cities, and sells his life labour for less than a London pint.
To the millions of working-class Brits watching their taxes grow up while illegal migrants get free hotels, what you just saw isn't a joke. It's a documentary. That video went viral not because it's funny, but because it said the quiet part out loud better than any British politician in Parliament. In 90 seconds, this character perfectly summarizes every major populist grievance. The forgotten man, the disconnected elite, referencing the debilitating economic policies of Rachel Reeves, who's the UK's finance minister. The migrant hotel unfairness that we've covered on this channel. The struggling farmer. It's better than a full hour of talking head analysis on the BBC filtered through liberal globalist frames of reference. The video captures the vibe of 2025 populism perfectly. And now we're getting a bombshell report from the Daily Mail. Take a look at this. A leaked, unpublished draft of the Trump administration's 2025 national security strategy. It reportedly outlines a bold plan to dismantle the EU. You heard that right. Trump is planning on dismantling the European Union by pulling 4 key nations, Poland, Hungary, Italy, and Austria, out of the bloc. Now, according to the defense news outlet Defense One, which reviewed the unredacted document, the Trump administration identifies these 4 nations as most ideologically aligned partners that should be drawn away from Brussels. So the goal is to weaken the EU's central authority and create a new coalition of sovereign states that prioritize national identity over globalist integration. The chapter explicitly entitled Make Europe Great Again, right? MEGA, calls for Washington to support political parties, movements, and cultural figures in these countries that advocate for national sovereignty, the preservation of traditional European ways of life, and a pro-American foreign policy. Now, the strategy aligns with the public national security strategy's warning that Europe faces civilizational erasure. That's the word they use. I guess they're erasure? I'm not sure how to say it. Civilizational erasure due to mass migration and stifling regulations. By effectively sponsoring a slow-motion Brexit for these four nations, the United States aims to fracture the EU's political cohesion and replace it with bilateral alliances based on shared conservative values. Perhaps most shockingly, the document reportedly proposes a new Core 5 or C5 global forum consisting of the five major civilizationalist nations: the United States, Russia, China, India, and Japan. So this group would bypass the G7 and exclude Western European powers entirely, effectively sidelining nations like Germany and France from top-level global decision-making. The leaked details confirm what many conservatives and patriots across the world have long suspected. The Trump administration views the EU not as a partner any longer, but as a bureaucratic obstacle to be dismantled. And now they have the mechanism to dismantle it, drawing out the four nations, and the C5 proposal to geopolitically replace it. So what's really going on here? What binds this massively bold proposal together to help us understand this astonishing new world that's rising all around us? Well, that is exactly what we are about to find out. There's a $2.7 billion digital arbitrage opportunity that's absolutely exploding. And ordinary people like you and me are quietly banking, I kid you not, like $500, $1,000, even $3,000 a week to pay off debt, build emergency funds, and finally get ahead, all without ever leaving our homes. Did I get your attention? Well, I'm talking about the online book arbitrage revolution. I haven't even heard of that up until about a couple of weeks ago. But gang, this is the answer to the financial squeeze you're feeling right now. Now, imagine replacing that soul-crushing second job with something you can do literally in your pajamas. Imagine telling your spouse you figured out how to bring in an extra $2,000 a month without sacrificing more time away from your family. I mean, imagine actually having breathing room in your budget again. Here's the truth. There are over 10 million books listed online with massive pricing gaps. We're talking books selling for $3 on one platform that go for $47 on another. That's not a gimmick. It's a market inefficiency that's putting real money in people's pockets right now. Everything happens online. You could be anywhere in the world, working whatever hours fit your life, building real financial security from your laptop. That's why I'm hosting a free live training this coming Monday, where we're revealing the exact system and software people are using to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck nightmare. The online training is completely free. We want you to succeed in this, but you got to register now because the online seating is limited. So click the link below and be sure to register, and let's thrive together in the golden age today. Scholars are in wide agreement that the single most powerful political force throughout the world today is, in a word, populism, and most particularly civilizational populism. And that civilizationalism is key to the kind of populism rising up all over the world. What we have to understand is populism isn't just a political force today. Populism is a financial force. It's a social force. It's a technological force. They actually call it techno-populism. It's a cultural force. Today, populism permeates quite literally every aspect of our societies and our lives. Populism even extends into the beer we drink. Just ask Bud Light. It extends into children's movies. Just ask Disney. And that's because the liberal globalism that so dominated the political world order for the last several decades has all but completely and totally shattered. And the key here is that while globalism concentrated a tremendous amount of power and wealth in the hands of very few, disembedding political decision-making away from the local and centralizing it in the hands of a globalist elite. The shattering of that system involves the opposite, involves a dynamic known as re-territorialization, where political power basically falls back and propels towards the local. So power gets re-territorialized in the hands, particularly of political leaders who stand up on behalf of the people as over and against the globalist elite. And the more authentic they can make their politics, the more they can resonate with the values, interests, and concerns of the people, the more they legitimize their political authority. So populism is literally baked into the cake of this worldwide re-territorialization. And what that's created is a mass movement known as civilizational populism, a political force that leverages cultural identity as its primary mobilizing tool. It's the us versus them of entire civilizations, not just political parties. So in India, for example, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has turned Hindu nationalism from a fringe ideology into literally the mainstream politics of a billion-plus nation. Hindu nationalism has replaced secular India as the true voice of the people, as Modi would put it. Or in Russia, Vladimir Putin and Patriarch Kirill of the Russian Orthodox Church, they've merged nationalism and faith, defining the Russian world as a civilizational space built on orthodoxy, Russian culture, and historical memory. In Hungary, Viktor Orban has positioned himself as the defender of Christian Europe against Muslim intruders from the East and godless liberals from the West. And even in China, or most especially in China, actually, President Xi sees a Confucian-inspired CCP as the true voice of the Chinese people that brings the mandate of heaven and the literally cosmic harmony into the world. And the ultimate expression of this civilizational populism is the rise of what are called civilization states. So we just talked about this in our earlier video today on the U.S. military seizing the Venezuelan oil tanker in the Caribbean. A civilization state is a political entity that defines itself not by political or economic protocols like globalist nation states, but by civilizational heritage. And that's exactly what the C5 represents, this proposed alliance between the United States, Russia, China, India, and Japan. It would represent the formal recognition of a world governed by civilizational spheres, organized around these civilizational spheres, rooted in their own civilizational traditions, whether Confucian meritocracy, Orthodox empire, or Hindu Dharma. It's pretty astonishing stuff. So all of this is to say that it's not just European patriots who've had enough with their globalist elite. The world's rising civilizations have had enough. And if this new national security strategy has anything to say about it, the future clearly belongs to the populists, whether in Europe or beyond.